Hey guys. Hey Smith Shoes. Hey Abra. Hey Nina Bina. Hey Jen. Oh, good to see you, Cement Shoes. How you doing? I usually see you over in Jen's chat. I don't know why my camera isn't focusing. It's making me look all shiny. So, I know it's been a couple days, so we have a lot to catch up on with the Murdaugh trial, which is turning into, in my opinion, Murdaugh Mayhem. Hey, Grand Bun Sherry. I like the new name and the little bunny picture. Snapping to Indigo like a live snack. Yeah, I actually was walking out to my car and I stepped on a snake today. I was like, ah! Even though I love snakes, but I wasn't expecting to step on it. It was a little guy. It was a brown snake. I think it was my neighbor's cat had already walkway for me to find. Speaking of that too, so my turtle and these 4 goldfish. All right, so we bought these little goldfish for my turtle like months ago as like feeder fish, and he made friends with them, I guess, and they got like really big. They're like this big, and today he chose violence and got one, and now he's chasing them all over the tank. So yeah, it's definitely fascinating, and some testimony's like a little rough. It'll get boring, and then I'll fall asleep, and then I'll have to go back and rewatch it. But some of it's been really good, and between yesterday and today, it's been wild. So I guess let's just like get right into it. I'm gonna just talk about yesterday and today, or else I'll be here a very long time. But they've I will say the prosecution isn't doing the best job, I don't think. I think maybe because the case is so like so many things into one that it's just complicated. But yeah, trial was good today. Hey LFT. Fucking good. Listening while you get situated. Yeah, I need like, hey Queen. I need like a good glass of wine or something tonight. My son's off tomorrow from school and Friday and Monday. So he had me running around the yard today. It was like 70 degrees out. It was so nice. Mayhem amok, I say, running amok. Yeah, it's crazy. So yesterday they had on the woman who talks about the gunshot wounds and stuff like that. A lot of people are like frustrated with her because she seemed a little like uncaring, I guess, but she's a teacher, so she was like very in like teacher mode and explaining, hey Dynamite, hey CBKL. She was explaining like in very graphic detail, just like Paul. So basically, the shooter shot a shotgun within 3 feet of Paul. And he had like, the first shot was, I believe, in his left chest. If I'm saying something wrong, somebody correct me, but I think it was like his left chest, and it went through his armpit. And he had this stuff they call like stipple, I think. And it's when the barrel of the gun is within 3 feet, but like it's not touching, because if it was touching him, there would be soot burns. So he had like stipple or steeple or whatever it's called. And I think Jim did really good in cross today, by the way, Lori. But he was shot. It hit the first shot didn't hit any organs, and then the second one was from like, as if he turned and like went like this, like turned his head a little back. So yeah, it was that one. I don't even want to explain this, because I know I'm gonna get flagged for saying this. Stippling, that's it. Thank you, Smith Cheese. But like his inner head organs separated from like his head, like it was so bad, the damage. And I personally think that the shooter was inside of the storage room, just because the shell shots were in the storage room to the right. Like, let me see if I can find the diagram. Hold on, I'll show you guys. But when you shoot a shotgun, the shells go out the right side. And the shells were inside of the storage room to the right. So I personally think whoever shot him was inside of the storage room. Now, I thought there was a second door, but apparently it's just a window. So I don't know if maybe they were in there together or what, but obviously I think it had to have been somebody they know for the shooter to be able to get that close to Paul and Maggie. So the shot to Maggie was very close too, like extremely close, within 3 feet. All right, here it is. I'll show you real quick. Okay, so here's where Paul was. So I think he was facing the person in the storage room talking to them. And then they hit him, and then he turned to like run maybe and look back. Because look, the shell shots were right here. So it would be more than likely that the shooter would have been like right here. You know what I mean? It would be, in my opinion, really hard for them to get inside of that doorway if they were out here. But I could be wrong. That's just the damn squeaky chair today. It drove me crazy. I could be wrong, but that's just the feeling I get. And then Maggie was shot within 3 feet. The first was in her chest. I forget if it was right or left side, but it went like through her chest. And then I guess she kind of like buckled over. And I forget where the other ones were. One in her chest and one through her leg. And then once she was on the ground, they circled her and shot her again. So, yeah. That is basically what the medical examiner explained. But yeah, that's where I think he was. I think he was in the storage room. And then I think maybe stepped over Paul, and then she was running. I think his mom was running towards Paul and, just kind of like met there. Because I think it's just like a mother's instinct. When you hear something going on with your kid, you're immediately going to like run to your kid. You know what I mean? I don't think she was running away. So, all right, let me just make sure. They also did like a cell phone dump. They mentioned it during testimony, but like fleeting, that like they did a cell phone dump of the whole area, and that there was no phones going in and out of Moselle around that time. which I think is big. But then again, if you were going there to, oh, I didn't see that. I must have missed that. He admitted to lying to the grand jury about what, Sam? That I missed. So I got like most of the way through Jim Griffin's cross on the detective, which I think was really. Buster didn't look phased. I didn't watch Buster's face, but yeah, they his whole like head, they had to put it in a separate bag to like send it to autopsy. But oh yeah, so then they had the groundskeeper come on who, hey Mel. Yeah, I think she was running to save him too, or like running towards him because she heard a gunshot. Yes, how come that hadn't come up? I know, right, Don? I don't know how that didn't come up any sooner, but like they mentioned it very fleeting too. The prosecution is just not doing well to me. They're frustrating me like a lot. The lie was regarding how the shotgun was loaded. Oh, well, it did have. All right, so that's another thing. The shotgun shells had Paul's DNA on them, so it's possible that the guns were. Hold on 1 second. The guns were Paul's. I mean, I don't know when it was loaded. Like, I don't know if he had just loaded it. Oh, no, that's my new office space. It's on a green screen. It's my room. It's a wall. I got rid of my black curtain, but I've heard some. I think Ryan said he missed my black curtain. Somebody said it. Yeah, you think if he hired someone? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe he was there and then he could have had help, you know? Like, I think maybe Cousin Eddie could have helped. But, all right, so I got really upset because, sorry, I haven't itched. I got really upset because I thought we weren't going to hear from Cousin Eddie because the judge said that he wasn't going to bring it in. And then guess what? He reversed his decision today. And Cousin Eddie, I think, will be coming tomorrow. But I'll get to that. So I'm super excited about that. So they had Roger Dale Davis, who's on the stand. He was the groundskeeper. He got there around like 4 p.m., I think, to go feed the dogs. He said no one was at the property. Nothing was out of place. He's talking about how he rolled up the hose. They went on and on about the hose. I guess maybe the hose was like found undone. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm driving through the woods. I'll be back. All right. I think it's possible he could have had help, definitely. But I think that Alex was there just because they have him on audio like minutes before. They have him on audio minutes before all phone activity ceases for Paul and Maggie. Now, Paul, well, texting and stuff. There was other phone activity as if like somebody was looking at their phones or they like something was triggering them to the black curtain was legit. Or if something was triggering the what was I saying? The phones to like, you know, when you you touch the screen and it opens, it was doing that. But like the text and everything, it stopped. And Paul was literally in a conversation with a girl, like flirting, and then all the phone activity ceased. So it's just, to me, I believe it happened right around like 9 o'clock, and he was there right around then. So I do think Alex was there. Yeah, if he didn't pull the trigger, he definitely conducted it. And he lied. I mean, he said he was in the house the whole time, and he wasn't. He was there, you know? So they had Davis. All right, so Davis identifies all the voices in the Snapchat video, which they pretty much had a bunch of people do that. Like, is this Alex's voice? Everyone says yes. He has them detail which dogs were in which pens. Oh, yeah, the third interview. The one that they played today, is that what you're talking about, Donna? All right, so then Davis said he arrived on June 7th around 7 or 8 a.m., went through his normal routine of feeding the dogs and chickens and then washed the pens. And then he went back before 4 to do it again, leaving at 4:30. And he said nobody was at the property at that time. Nothing was found to be out of place. Went over the dogs in the pens, identified the voices. And then under cross, Davis said he often saw the Murdaughs leave guns in unlocked. Sorry if I'm looking. Hold on, let me put this here so I can look straight. But that he often saw the Murdaughs leaving guns in unlocked vehicles while on the property. So I guess maybe they were saying like somebody could have just came in and grabbed a gun and used their own guns on them. He said he did not hear any gunshots from his property the night of the murders. I just saw some Law Channel chat window open accidentally. I think I said hi to everyone here in that chat. That's hilarious. That's funny stuff. I was in Law Channels too all day. I like watching Emily Baker because she's very animated. The color of the lizard depends on how long you've been a member, I think, Mel. All right, so then they, let's see. All right, then Carson Burney of the State Attorney General's office takes a stand. He previously spoke without the jury present about Alex Murdaugh's financial crimes and tracing those missing funds. This is yesterday, by the way, guys. Then they go to lunch, and then when they come back at 1, Bernie is detailing the large debts Alex Murdaugh had at the time of the murders, noting he did not have funds available to pay any of them. So at the bank, they just like gave this dude money, and then he wasn't able to pay back, and then they started, getting worried and asking him how he was going to get his money back. You're probably like, it was this crazy lady. Yeah, Emily B's awesome. She cracks me up. She was cracking me up yesterday when everything went down, like the crazy stuff. All right, so then Maggie's sister comes on the stand, and this is where it all went very left. So she started sharing memories of Maggie and Paul, her relationship with both. Said the family received backlash following the boat crash that killed Mallory Beach, and said that Maggie felt the community turned against her. And that's one of the reasons why Maggie preferred living at Edisto. Am I saying that right? Edisto? The beach house. I'm just going to say the beach house. I always say it wrong. Instead of Moselle. She said she spoke to Maggie the day of the murders, and Maggie thought she and Paul were going back to the Moselle house in order to visit Alex's ailing father. And her sister encouraged her to go. She said she heard of the murders that night when Randy texted her husband asking for him to call him. She and her husband then went to Somerville to tell her mom and dad. They went to Moselle the next day. Days later, she asked Alex if Maggie and Paul suffered. He said no, but whomever did it had thought about it a long time. Alex told her he didn't go to the kennels that night, which, hey, Ellie, which is a big lie because he's there. Yeah, the snapshot, yeah, same, Lori. That sealed it for me, too. That's a big lie. Like, that's not a little lie. That's a big lie. And Maggie's sister did break my heart, too. She was surprised that Alex went to Alameda alone the night of the murder, since Maggie thought her trip to Moselle was to see his father. So they were supposed to go visit his father that night, and instead of going to visit his father, he goes and visits his mother. Months later, she said Alex said his number one goal was to clear Paul's name from the boat crash case, but she was surprised because her goal was to find who killed Maggie and Paul. She said he was very, determined to clear Paul's name, but she's like, why are we so focused on clearing Paul's name when there's killers out there and you and Buster might be next? Like, she thought it was retaliation from the boat crash, and she was worried that Paul would be next. So she's like, listen, this is what, you should be worrying about. My mic? Is my mic off? You've watched every single minute of the trial. Anyway, she said she was very afraid after the murders and for Alex and Buster, but Alex did seem to be afraid. I think so too, Donna. So this is where it gets... So then they start crossing her, and they're like, hey, Alex was worried. He started carrying a gun after the murders. Did you know that he was carrying a gun? Thank you. Got me some gummy bears. She's like, do you know he's starting to carry a gun? And she said, well, Alex always had a gun, at least in his vehicle. And she said Maggie was happy in her relationship with Alex. And then Marianne said she thought Maggie and Paul's deaths were tied to the boat crash until September. And then I believe he says, like what happened September 2021, which sends everything crazy. And basically them asking these questions kicked down the door for the roadside incident to come in, which wasn't supposed to be allowed in testimony. The jury's not supposed to know about that. And she says, well, until September of 2021. So now they send the jury out of the room, and the defense takes issue at the line of questioning. The defense says they're objecting to any mention of the roadside shooting. So without the jury present, they start... Proctor starts discussing how she learned that, because he says, like, well, explain, what happened in September 2021. She had just learned that Alex had been shot, and in this moment, she believed the person responsible for killing Maggie and Paul just shot Alex. But then everything changed when she had found out that it had been set up by Alex himself, and that he had been fired from his company for stealing money. And Prosecutor Creighton Waters says he wants to discuss fidelity issues and the opioid addiction. Proctor said Maggie believed Alex had an affair years ago, and it still bothered her, and she brought it up as soon as last year. Waters says he only wants to briefly mention it, and the defense says the line of question is highly inflammatory. So, I think it was Dick. He says, objects to hearsay to his own lawyer's questioning, and this is where it gets crazy too. So, upon mentioning all that, Marianne says that Jim Griffin, the lawyer, was the guy she called to find out about what happened to Alex. And then the judge is like, well, how can you say this is hearsay if you're the guy who she contacted about it? I mean, you should know. You know what I mean? Like, how do you call hearsay on this when you're directly involved and you were the one who told her this? And he was so embarrassed. You could tell he's like, oh my God. Well, anyway, the judge is like, well, maybe you, like, should you be a witness? Should you be a witness? Because he's so directly tied into all this. And I think the judge is getting annoyed with their, like, good old boy system. I don't think the judge likes the defense at all. But anyway, so he allows her to briefly, to mention what happened in September and bring it up. But they don't, like, go in great detail. You know what I mean? Just in questioning. Hey, Kayla. Yeah, today was a good day in trial. So it was crazy. All right, so the jury comes back. Then she starts discussing how she learned Murdaugh was shot in September of 2021. Proctor said she called Jim, his attorney, who told her he was shot in the head and had been fired for stealing from his law firm. In the weeks that followed, following the unraveling of the financial crimes in the roadside shooting, Proctor changed her mind about whether she thought the family really had been targeted. So now she's changing her mind, like, well, maybe it was Alex now. Like, she thought it was somebody from the boat accident, and then it completely changed to her that it may have been Alex. Proctor said Maggie had talked to her about Alex's long-standing pill problem. Paul had the nickname of Little Detective given to him by his mom because he would find pills in the house that his dad wasn't supposed to be taking. Bart Proctor. Next is Bart Proctor, Marianne's husband. It's kind of like a waste of time. He basically just comes up and they ask him to identify Alex's voice. The jury is excused till the next day. So now we're at today. All right, so where was I? All right, court has resumed. All right, so the jury doesn't come in until 10:30 in the morning this morning because they had a lot to argue about in the morning. Prosecutor Creighton Waters is discussing the case that would allow for evidence of consciousness of guilt and evasive conduct, which he is wanting to discuss evidence pertaining to the roadside shooting, which is previously not allowed. Basically, they want to bring Cousin Eddie in full swing, which kind of makes me nervous because Cousin Eddie's a little bit like, I think he's unpredictable. I'll have to show you guys this video, but they have a video of Cousin Eddie, right? And they're transferring him from the van, like the jail van, to, I guess, jail or court. I don't know. And he walks, they're like filming behind a gate, like as they walk by. And as they walk by, Cousin Eddie walks up to the camera and goes, like, he's definitely a colorful character. So I don't know how this is going to go, but he is coming in because the judge changed his decision. So tomorrow is going to be wild if they bring him in tomorrow, which I'm guessing tomorrow's the day. So defense attorney Dick Harpootlian argues that the roadside shooting had nothing to do with the murders and was in response to the financial crimes, and he was trying to make sure that his son Buster was taken care of after his death. But here's where it gets tricky. Was it really him trying to make sure Buster was taken care of? Or was it him trying to make it look like he's innocent and that whoever killed his family was trying to kill him as well? Like, why would I get shot by some rando if people weren't after my family, you know? So they say, well, it's in response to him trying to get Buster money. But personally, I think he did it to make him look, because I think right around then was when they did that other interview naming him as a suspect. I could be wrong though. Does anyone know in that third interview they played today? Hopefully it says it here, but maybe that was his way of being like, I was shot, they're after me. It's probably the same people that killed my family. I'm innocent, So I don't really agree with Dick Harpootlian on this, that was his motivation. So Judge Newman said the roadside shooting does not meet the relevancy test to be included for the murder trial at this time. August 11th. Hey, Jen Lou. Yeah, August 11th, I think. So it would be shortly after they named him as a suspect. So think about it. They interview Alex, and they interview what's his name, Corey, or the other lawyer who was in the interview with them, and they tell Alex, hey, like, you're a suspect now. Then conveniently early September, I think it was, he gets shot. And I think he was trying, in my opinion, he was trying to make it look like he's not a suspect, and whoever killed his family, yeah, Cody, that's it, took a shot at him. You know what I mean? So Dick says no, that it's him trying to set up Buster, which it very well could have been. But I think after he got caught, that's the story he came up with just because he got caught. But I think he was trying to make it look like he was innocent. So the judge says he's not allowing it at this time. If the trial was about financial crimes, however, it would be allowed, he said. So court takes a short recess, and then court resumes, and the jury is brought back in around like 10:26. SLED agent David Owen has been called to the stand. Owen arrived to the crime scene around midnight on June 8th. He is describing how the crime scene appeared, Alex's behavior, and what he was wearing. Owen took Murdaugh's clothing into evidence that night. He conducted an interview with Nolan Tootin early that morning. Owen said Paul Murdaugh's phone was found near the backside of his body. Alex told him he went looking for Paul's phone when he found the bodies. He said he was going to do something with it, but decided not to. Owen notes that Paul's phone was a significant piece of evidence in the case. 11:16, Owen said he spoke to Alex again on August 11th, which they play the video. The video is pretty interesting. There's inconsistencies in the video. Again, like he was never at the kennels. Cody tries to stop him from talking, and he shuts Cody down and is like, no, it's okay. And then they throw it on him like, did you kill Maggie and Paul? And he says, no, do you think I did? And you can see he's getting frustrated, and they say, well, we have to follow the facts. And, so they basically tell him he's a suspect in the video. Owen asks Alex about the 911 call, where at one point he says here, as if he was directing someone or something. Alex said, no, dogs were out of the pens at the time, and he has no recollection of saying that. Oh, I didn't hear that in the 911 call, but now I kind of want to go back and hear that. If he does say, here, like telling someone, but why would somebody still, that would be pretty risky to have someone still there and telling them, All right, so Owen said he spoke to Alex Murdaugh and Corey Fleming on August 11th. Corey, Cory, okay, Corey like that. Fleming later said his law license suspended. So yeah, his law license was suspended by the South Carolina Supreme Court. Videos being shown to the jury of that interview. During it, Fleming acts as Murdaugh's attorney and is guarded against any questioning of Murdaugh if authorities believe Alex could be a suspect. In the interview, Murdaugh said he got to Moselle around 5:30 p.m. on June 7th, with Paul arriving around the same time. They rode in two different vehicles around the property. Thank you, A. Marie, and you're welcome for covering it. He was shot 9/4. He resigned, fired 9/3. Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. August 11th, he gets named a suspect, and then he has a little bit of time to plan stuff out, and then does it. I think to make him look not like a suspect. Alex in the interview said Maggie told him that she was coming home from the beach house that day. That goes against prior testimony that said Alex asked Maggie to come home. Alex says he fell asleep on the couch and the TV was on, but he wasn't watching. Investigators ask him about the video Paul took on his phone, showing him by the tree. Alex seems confused. He is then asked when he changed clothes that day. He doesn't remember well, but says it must have been after he got back to the house. Alex said he and Maggie had no plans to visit his mom together that night, which is why he didn't seek her out before he left the property. I think he did, text her and say he was going to his mom's, but I think he was at his mom's way before then and never went later when he texted her that. I think she was already dead then, but he said he was at his mom's at night for 45 minutes. Shelly Smith later testified it was only about 15 minutes. Hey, Jeremiah. Hope you're doing well, too. In the interview, Alex is asked about Paul's video from the kennels after Rogan Gibson told authorities the three voices heard are Paul, Maggie, and Alex Murdaugh. Alex said he was not there at the time. Alex asked in the interview if it was one person, two, or three that were responsible for the shooting. Owen asked Alex, Oh yeah, I read that already about when he said here. So in the video interview, Alex says he believes 3 shotguns are missing from the property, which they said he never made them a list. He never made them a list. That they never got his clothes, and I think in part because I don't think they thought he was a suspect. I think they didn't treat him like one until later, and they're probably a little scared too. Hey, Princess Megan Elsa. Alex is asked about saying, I should have known. Now, I did hear that. Or I don't know if it says I should have known, but he says something where it sounds like he says to Paul, like, Paul, why did you have to get involved? Or Paul, you shouldn't have got involved or something. Maybe that's when he said I should have known, but it sounded like to me he said something about Paul. He says he doesn't remember saying that, but if it was in reference to the threats Paul had been receiving about the boat crash, he says he doesn't remember having intentions of doing anything with Paul's phone after he found the body. Murdaugh previously said he left work around 5:30, but Owen said that when Alex showed up to PMPD, according to door entry records, he remained there after 6 p.m., according to those who were at the building. So his stories are a little mixed up, or his time frame's a little mixed up. Alex, now crying, says in the interview he believed Maggie was shot first because she was shot in the back of the head. Authorities believe Paul was the first victim. But if Alex did kill them, he would know that Paul was killed first, so maybe he was trying to sound like he didn't know and was just like, oh, maybe Maggie was killed first. We've already established that family guns were used, Owen says in the video. Murdaugh nods his head in agreement. Then court is in recess till 2:20. They come back. The taped interview continues to play. Owen is asked about questions he asked in the interview and Murdaugh's inconsistent answers. And Cross was actually really good. I will give it to Jim Griffin. He asked some really damning questions, and he made Sled look pretty bad. He made, like, if you got to think about it, that the jury takes cops and detective jobs very seriously, and if you aren't doing a good job, it's going to be like the jury is going to be very, very upset or feel very uncomfortable about prosecuting somebody if they didn't do a good job investigating. So under cross, Owen is being asked about never asking for Alex Murdaugh's clothes earlier in the day of the murder. So the slacks and the blue shirt in the tree video. And then the jury is sent to the jury room for a break. Court resumes. In redirect, Owen is being asked about when he learned about Curtis Edward Smith. He said it wasn't until after the roadside shooting in September. Owen is discussing going to the hospital and Alex Murdaugh working with a sketch artist to make a composite of the man who shot him. Owen said Murdaugh never mentioned him to anyone by name, that he could have been responsible for the shooting, and never mentioned Smith until after the roadside shooting. But I will say they made a big point about the raincoat. They were like, there was no blood on it. And he's like, no, there's no blood. He's like, but we found GSR on it. And he was like, so wouldn't the guns have blood on it? And then, if you had put the guns inside of the raincoat, he wouldn't be able to wipe the raincoat down of the blood because it would have wiped away the GSR. So they pulled out a lot of, like, they didn't search the mom's living place. They didn't do anything the night of. They didn't do a lot of stuff. They didn't do a lot of searches the night of. They should have. They only drove from Moselle to the mom's house, but they didn't thoroughly search everywhere. He asked if they searched all the waterways. He said most of them, but I don't know about all of them. So they made Sled look pretty crappy. Let's just say that. All right, so Owen said Alex said he tried to move and roll Paul Murdaugh but there was no evidence to support that. David Grubbs of the South Carolina Attorney General's office. Hold on one second, guys. I just want to see something because I think my okay, sorry. All right, so then here we go. David Grubbs of South Carolina Attorney General's office. Oh gosh, hold on. Why is that on? Okay. Whoops. I'm losing. There we go. David Grubbs of South Carolina Attorney General's office has taken the stand. He specializes in cell phone data and analyzed Paul Murdaugh's phone. Grubbs says Paul's phone was locked at 8:49 p.m. and it lit up at 10:18 p.m. and it stayed lit until 10:18. Well, 10:18:08 and it stayed lit until 10:18:20. So like a couple seconds. So that could have been when Alex was looking at the phone. The screen was off until 10:20:08, then came on until 10:20:20. The screen was off until 10:24:16, then came back at 10:34:16 and stayed lit for 4 seconds, then went off due to a dead battery. He is discussing Maggie Murdaugh's phone. They found it in the bushes, I think the next day. Or not in the bushes, but on the side of the road. And then the court goes to recess, and then the judge comes back and says he is reversing his prior ruling against allowing testimony about the roadside shooting, noting the defense opened the door with their cross-examination questioning. Now, I guess maybe when they questioned about the side, when they mentioned the roadside stuff and the sketch artists and things like that. So Eddie's coming back, y'all. Eddie is coming. I thought Eddie wasn't going to come on, and I was very upset about it, but Eddie is coming in full swing. But it's almost ridiculous to me. Like, how did they not realize this? Like, they had to have known they were opening the doors. I feel like they want Eddie to come in at this point. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go, but I feel like Eddie is going to be a trip. Let me show you guys this video because he cracks me up. I'm guessing maybe that he has like a deal if he testifies, because they have like holding for safekeeping. That's what it says. So I don't really know what to make of it, but I know that from his interviews, he feels betrayed by Alex. Yeah, I can. I'll be up because I'll be watching it, so I can run it through. I think this is the video. Hold on. Wait till you guys see this. It's hilarious. Dude, it is.
Hyundai Elantra versus Honda Civic. Look what Elantra has. And what's...
You feel betrayed.
I consider you one of my best friends. You're like a brother to me.
That so-called brother is Alex Murdaugh. South Carolina authorities say he asked Curtis Smith to shoot and kill him September 4th. The plan, according to SLED, to help Murdaugh's surviving son Buster collect a $10 million life insurance policy. But it didn't work.
You see him? He's
Instead,
like, his hair is all messy.
So they arrested both Ed Murdaugh.
I crack up every time I see this.
Policy.
Look at this man.
But it didn't work. Instead, Murdaugh told SLED what happened, so they arrested both of them. But where's the connection between the two? Through court records, we found out Murdaugh represented Smith in a personal injury lawsuit back in 2010.
And they're like cousins,
Three
I think,
disc
like
removed,
second
cut them back,
cousins
and
or
got
something.
rods and screws in every place of them. It's not fun.
Smith says injuries from a logging accident left him permanently disabled.
Talk to me about the pain.
It's an everyday thing. I mean, it's every day. I know it's there all day long.
Court documents indicate Smith took OxyContin for that pain, but fast forward to this month. Authorities charged Smith with distribution of meth and possession of marijuana, a drug parallel to what unfolded during Murdaugh's bond hearing.
If anyone wants to see the face of what opioid addiction does, you're looking at it.
In the days after the shooting, Murdaugh said he checked himself into rehab for substance abuse.
Is Alex somebody that you cared about?
Yeah, I say like a brother to me.
Like a brother.
Almost anyway.
I mean,
It's
it makes you wonder, like, what all kind of stuff were they doing with each other behind it? Like, what kind of trouble these two were getting into? Because I feel like they must have hung out with each other to a good extent if he felt like he was a brother to him, you know what I mean? Maybe he just, like, helped him out through his personal injury stuff, and that's why. I don't know, but
it's crushing to know that evidently I mean nothing to nobody, especially him.
Curtis says he feels betrayed.
Do you see the truth out there? Do you see the truth coming forward in this case?
I hope that when it's all said and done, that everybody will wind up being exactly what it's supposed to be.
does remind me of Ozark, like some crazy Ozark story, you know? Maybe they had like a strip club where they were laundering money or something like that. It's just so crazy to me. Like this guy, I am so excited for this guy's testimony. I can't tell you. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you. Hey, Wing Zero. Oh no, what happened? Hold on. I think I accidentally clicked on it.
Hyundai Elantra versus Honda Civic. Look what Elantra has and what Civic does.
This morning, a man accused of shooting Alex Murdaugh in the head as part of an insurance scheme is back behind bars. A South Carolina judge revoked bond for Curtis Smith yesterday, saying he lied about not having money and violated his house arrest. Smith is accused of money laundering, forgery, and criminal conspiracy.
So wait, that judge was Curtis's judge? So he knows who Curtis is. Oh, wow. Wow. I am intrigued. That was him, right? Let me rewind this back. Sorry. No, I don't. Hold on. I gotta restart it.
Get back. Get back.
That was him, right?
Yeah, sure.
This morning, a man accused of shooting Alex Murdaugh in the head as part of an insurance scheme is back behind bars. A South Carolina judge revoked bond for Curtis Smith yesterday, saying he lied about not having money and violated his house arrest. Smith is accused of money laundering, forgery, and criminal conspiracy.
So then he knows all about Eddie. He's probably like, I did a case on this guy. I'm curious how this all ties in. Oh my goodness. I think he is handling his financial crimes, yeah. But I mean, like, was he the judge? Do we know if he was the judge for Corey Fleming stuff? Yes, thank you again, Jeremiah. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know what to expect. I hope he's got he cracks me up with all like the crazy hair, and he walks up, he's like, ah! Thanks, LFT. Oh man, tomorrow's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I do. If you haven't watched the last 2 days of court and you want some interesting stuff to watch, I'd go back and watch it. I mean, obviously, I can't get into every single detail because I would be here forever. But it was really good. Even like I said, Jim's cross was really good today, and he made Sled look very inadequate, which kind of, I was like cringing for Sled. I'm like, man, this is bad. Like, this is bad for the prosecution. This is bad. I think the problem was, this is what I think. A lot of these people were in with the Murdaughs and friends with the Murdaughs and knew the Murdaughs, and they just couldn't fathom that Alex would do something like that. And when you're a lawyer and a prosecuting attorney and your son's in a big case. Am I missing something? Thank you, Wing Zero. Oh, thank you, Wing Zero. I can't see it when it comes up on my thing. Thank you so much, Wing Zero. But yeah, so I forget what I was saying. Oh my god. What was I talking about? I lost my... Oh, yeah, Sled. I think they didn't view Alex as a suspect for a little while, and they didn't look into these things as hard as they should have till later. And then it backfired on them because they were very inadequate with their investigation. Like, they didn't go, they knew Alex. All right, here's the problem. They were like, well, why didn't you go search Alex's mom's house? And he's like, well, I didn't have probable cause. And they were like, well, you had permission. Like, Alex gave you permission to search everything. So what that does is, like, at that point, they were allowed to go search there because Alex gave them permission. So that makes Alex look good because he's like, hey, go search. And they didn't go search. So now they're like, well, you didn't, he's trying to blame not searching on needing probable cause. And they're like, well, you didn't need probable cause. You could have just went and searched, but you didn't. Like, you didn't do it until way later. And, you know, and then they talked about how the raincoat, she thought it was a tarp, but it was a raincoat. And, you know, she didn't recognize it as a raincoat. She saw it as a tarp and could have been two different things. The defense did really good. I'll give it to them. They did excellent. Jim Griffin did excellent today in his cross, and I was cringing. And I'm like, man, this is not good, because the jury is going to be like, you know, how can we put this guy in jail if they didn't even do a good job on the case? You know what I mean? So, but the Jim Griffin made up for his bullcrap today in cross of that detective, and that was big. I mean, it was a big moment. Yeah, I fall asleep a lot too, Princess Megan Elsa, because my kids at school and I'm trying to watch. I'm sitting on the couch. The next thing I know, it'll get to like a boring part in testimony, and then I fall asleep, and I'm like, I gotta go rewind it. But yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm worried that was a big thing, and I think that they didn't do their due diligence because they were probably afraid of Alex, and two, they didn't look at him as a suspect right away. So, but then when things started not making sense, I think, all right, this is when I think he became a suspect to them. When they got Paul's phone record, when they got the search for Paul's phone records and the Snapchat video, and they had that Snapchat video of Alex's voice in the background, I think that changed everything for them, and that's when he became a suspect. And I don't think that happened till like July. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to hop off. I know Jen Lou, she's going live at 9. Yeah, he shouldn't have ever lied about being at the kennel because that's like the biggest thing. I mean, he said at least 3 times he was never there. And the more he said it, the more it's like, yeah, he lied. So that's still going to be huge. And I think Eddie's testimony is going to be huge. And I believe that's coming tomorrow. So brace yourselves, guys. But I'm just kind of worried, like, is Eddie going to, like, testify in favor of Alex? Like, you know what I mean? What if he flips? I mean, I feel like this guy is just so unpredictable that he could just go a whole different way than they want him to. So we'll see. But I think his testimony is going to be huge, and I can totally pop it up tomorrow and we can watch it. But Case Worth Studies going live at 9, and she's going to be talking about it. So if you guys want to go over there, she'll be talking about today too. And thank you guys for coming. And thanks for the super chats and the memberships. I appreciate you guys so much. Sorry it was a little short one, but she's going live, so I figured I'll just do an hour and then, we can go watch hers. He's trying to fake remember what. Yeah, I think he's guilty. I do. I think he may have had help. But I definitely think he's part of it. But it's getting really good. So I'll be back tomorrow for sure, because there's no way I won't be back to talk about Cousin Eddie, because I'm excited about that. So definitely I will be back tomorrow, and we'll do another. The Ward case studies, right? I think that's how. Let me see. It's the Ward case studies, I think. The Ward case studies. Oh, I can put her link in chat, actually. Hold on. Oh, there you go. Sarah got it. Yeah. Head over there. I was making sure I didn't say it backward, like the case word studies. Yeah, that's her link. You guys can head over there, and she's talking about it too. So, and she's really good. So make sure you subscribe to her, and make sure you guys give me a like. And if you're new, give me a follow, and I'll see you tomorrow to talk about Cousin Eddie. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. Bye.